So it's been a really weird spring here so far. We haven't really had much rain at all. In fact, we've only had about one rainstorm where any significant amount of rain came down, and then there's been a few days of showers, but other than that, really nothing. And so I've had to start watering already, which is not very typical for this area, but I noticed some wilting going on this past week. The grass is just acting very strange for the springtime. I haven't noticed any of the flush of growth happening yet, which usually would have happened about now. Sort of inconsistent growth happening right now, inconsistent color happening. So this is something kind of interesting to see. This is my original sod that was put down at the house, and you can tell that it's not the compact style variety. So a lot of you, when you're saying, why are you cutting your grass so low, Ryan? It doesn't make any sense, you want it taller. Well, of course I could. You can see how tall this stuff is. It's really tall, and it grows very upright. And it only takes a couple days for it to get really shaggy like this. Now the stuff that I have in my backyard is more of what's called the compact types of bluegrass. So they spread more to the side. They're not as quick to grow up every time. It's much more difficult for me to maintain a higher cut on that because it just doesn't really like to grow up. And then as I walk across it and there's traffic on it and all of that, it gets even worse as far as wanting to get stood back up. And it just doesn't work very well. So I've been maintaining it a lot shorter. It's been working a lot better and looking a lot better as well this spring so far. So speaking of that, I'll also have an update here on the reel mowing with that manual reel and what I've sort of learned about it. So a lot of you have been asking if I still use my Timemaster or other mowers, and absolutely I do. Alright, so on the surface here, everything looks pretty nice and green, but as you can look down in here, you're going to see there's still a lot of this brown material that's left over from wintertime now. I can see down to the soil, so I don't have an excess thatch problem. I just have a lot of this brown stuff that is still left over. So maybe this next week, if the weather cooperates, I'll kind of show you how I might get rid of some of that, let the grass breathe a little bit more before we get into some of the summer stress. Make sure that there's some space in there for it to spread out and get rid of some of that dead stuff. First though, let's talk about who won the Swardman, sort of a project coming up with reel rollers and that as well. So by the way, is anyone else like at this point needing a haircut pretty bad? I mean, I could have a really sweet mullet here going on if I wanted to. Got all these wings coming out all the time. So what I loved about this reel rollers video, if you've not seen it yet, is that Lee and the crew there, they kind of went behind the scenes of what goes on there. It's a very small operation still at this point, and it kind of gives you an idea of the people behind the business. I love that type of stuff. Shows you their passion for what they do, their passion for reel mowing in general, which Lee talks about a lot in this video. So if you haven't watched that video, please go watch that. But there's a couple other things though major that happened in there that I did not know about. Lee actually gave away 2 mowers instead of 1, and I didn't know anything about any of this, so he just kind of surprised everyone with that, which was really cool. So the first winner of a black Edwin 2.1 was Brett Klopacki. We hope I'm saying that name right. Congratulations to Brett on winning that. So the grand prize winner of the Edwin 2.1 with a custom flag on it was Jeremy Leroy. So congratulations to you. Honestly, I really wanted this year to be able to go deliver this thing in person to whoever won, but with all the travel stuff going on, probably not going to happen at this point, unfortunately, but that was kind of my sort of game plan in my head that I really wanted to try to do. Congratulations again to those winners. Check out that video, like I said, for more behind the scenes of reel rollers. So one of the other things that was mentioned in there is that Lee's actually starting Reel Rollers Turf Park, and he's creating some test plots out there right outside of his building, and hopefully as soon as I'm able to travel about here, I'm going to be taking a trip down there to help kind of get that started, show you what it's going to be all about, and show you some of the maintenance that's going to go into some warm season stuff this year. And I plan to get down there really as soon as I can and get working on some of that stuff. So that's awesome news. With all of that stuff, I wanted to update you on that contest. So as I just saw this, actually, I want to show you this while I'm here. So we're almost to the seed head stage of our cool season lawns, so you're going to see a lot of this happening. It's going to have a kind of a hard stalk on it like that. See more of them. You just want to keep cutting these off at this stage. Eventually we'll just tell the plant, okay, to go back and stop seeding all of these plants here, but the blade needs to be really sharp because this is kind of a thick thing that you're going to have to cut through. So make sure you're maintaining your blades and you're cutting these off consistently. So a lot of people confuse that with Poa annua or annual bluegrass because they do have similar seed head looks. The Poa seeds up on top usually are not quite as tight and they kind of come out sideways on the top of that actual seed head. So that's what to look for those things. Poa is kind of a major pain for a lot of people. There's not a lot of perfect solutions for it. You're going to want to get pre-emergent down in the fall time around soil temps of 70 to try to prevent that Poa from coming back in the next season. As far as how to control it perfectly, that's about the best that you can do to start out with. This whole area over here needs just major renovation. It's just full of a bunch of different grasses, and there's a bunch of fescue clumps in there and a bunch of bumpy areas that are not filled in, stuff like this. So I need to get going on something with this, see what I can do. So it's been an absolutely whirlwind week of trying to get all the kinks worked out of my website, and things have come up, and I'm only a one-man operation at this point, so trying to keep up with all the messages that I'm getting and emails and everything. I'm doing my absolute best, but if you guys have not heard something from me, or if you're leaving me messages here or there, I just, at this point, I apologize that I'm not able to get to absolutely everything. So hopefully in the future, this thing might scale up to where I won't have to handle all of that on my own, but as of now, my wife is helping out too. But at this point, we're doing as much as we possibly can, like 16 hours a day, and I still can't keep up with all of it. So just want to let you know that I'm not ignoring people or intentionally doing anything like that. I just don't have currently enough manpower to handle all of the information that I need to get out to people, all of the emails that I'm getting, and all of that stuff. Also this week I've had to take some time, and my wife and I have been painting this shed right here. It's been over a year now since it really needed to be painted. Finally got that mostly complete. I have to finish the front doors yet, but otherwise pretty happy with how that turned out. It looks really nice. And I also need to fix some of the fascia on the side. It all fell off during the winter time. I was using this plastic vinyl. It's not that good, so I'm gonna get some tin on there soon and fix that part of it. But otherwise, really love that shed. Hey, I got a video to film here. I need the sun. So I've been putting some just WD-40 on these blades and then spinning it. Just a slight layer on there so everything runs smoothly, but that's been working well. So the reel mower has still been working out pretty well back here as far as manual reel mowing, and I'm keeping up with it. I was doing every day, and then now that the grass has slowed some just because it hasn't rained, I've been doing every other day. I know some of you are thinking, I don't have this type of time. Well, some of you probably work out every day and you get up and do that, but I just use this as my exercise, although I'm always moving around the yard anyway, so I'm getting exercise every day. But as far as more of like a sort of move quickly and do a little workout here every day and just doing my reel mowing, enjoying it. So actually here's a good example of an area that's starting to wilt. You can see it right here. So you'll notice the change in color. These grass blades don't really want to stand up as much anymore. They're starting to get in need of some water. And that's the thing about that too, is it's not going to necessarily going to be consistent all across the yard. You might find some spots that start to go before other ones, especially areas near sidewalks and stuff like that. That'll be for sure the areas that you want to watch first. Whole bunch of debris going on from about 45-mile-per-hour winds that we had nearly every day last week. That was not fun. So I need to find a way to clean this all up before I get the real mower on it again. So I really could use this brush, but I have the Edwin pulley on there right now, so I could put that in the Edwin. Or I could try the Scarifier tool, just basically lightly brushing the surface. It's got the Electra pulley on there right now, so let's do that. So that was a pretty good setting. It was about just under 1/4 of an inch. Like, look at all this debris. Got rid of all that stuff and very, very limited amount of grass. So I've only got not that much in there, but it's all just junk that I wanted to pick up. Well, it's finally starting to get there, finally starting to actually look like the ryegrass that I know and love. It's been sort of bugging me that it hasn't been looking like I know it should in the early springtime here. Finally today, I think it's getting back there. And also with that little brushing that I did, a little scarifying, it sort of picked up the grass a little bit better and then cut it really nice and clean today. So it's an idea I might have for the future if I'm starting to see things be rolled over a lot, is use that tool to kind of pick things up a little better and then get a nice clean cut on there. Alright, so I really want to show you the bluegrass, but it's almost getting dark now, so I will show you bluegrass updates in the morning, how it's looking. I know everybody's been wondering about that, so we'll do that in the morning. Alright, so I promised you I would show you the bluegrass and how it's doing so far. So if you don't know what I was doing last year, I did a project of 3 different monostand sections on the north side of my house, and they're just starting to finally get going to where I can show you a little progress. So I hope this is going to show pretty well on camera here, but this section right here, this variety, has definitely shown to be the darkest so far. It's also filling in pretty much better than anything else. That middle one, it's coming along, but the color is not quite as dark as this one. And then the midnight on the far end, it looks like it's getting to a color pretty close to this one, but it's lagging along. It's definitely the slowest by far. It's just barely coming out of dormancy at this point. This little fringe area here on the side, I actually cut down some of my old grass, and so that's a little shocked and not looking so great, but you can see exactly here where the line starts of the good monostand that I put in. So far I'm liking this one the best, and over time here I think these are still going to get quite a bit fuller and better as we go, but just in the past couple weeks they've really moved along in terms of progress. So there'll be more updates to come on that here as we move along into the season. Thanks so much for watching this video today. We'll see you next time.